Hey friends, Michelle here with Michelle Beckner Family Wellness. I am so excited to be live with you ladies today talking about how to stay motivated and stick with your diet, whether it's dairy free or dairy and egg free, dairy, egg, and gluten free, whatever it is. We're going to be talking about staying motivated, sticking with your diet, and then we're going to talk about, all of this will be really good practical tips, but then we'll talk about like the practical stuff. Like if you have a slip up, whether like you do it on purpose and you feel bad about it, or you accidentally eat something that has dairy in it or something that you shouldn't be eating. Okay, so if you are new here, hello, my name is Michelle with Michelle Beckner Family Wellness. I help moms like you who have sensitive babies, who are on elimination diets, who are trying to figure out their baby symptoms. I help you make food feel easy so that it can, instead of be scary and feel like it's going to hurt your baby, I help you make it feel easy so that it can help heal your baby. If you're watching, say hello. I feel like my connection's a little crazy, probably because my kids are streaming a movie and I'm sure my husband is working too, so we're all maxing out our internet connection. But just say hello. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. All right, so I will just jump right in. So if you're on my email list, then you probably saw an email from me. I send one every Sunday. So you probably saw my email last Sunday, which was a little bit about this motivation and finding your why. Okay. So I shared kind of a story about how my husband and I used to have like this really bad habit. Well, it's not really bad. This habit of leaving the garage door open by accident, forgetting to close the garage door overnight. I know, like how exciting, right? And like we've lived in a bazillion houses. We've moved like a ton. But ever since our very first house, all of our houses that had garages, it was like always a bad habit of ours. We'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh, we left the garage open again. At our first house, actually, our neighbor would like come knock on our door at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night and be like, your garage door is open, which I guess is helpful. But anyway, I swear this is all going to make sense. So we had this habit of like forgetting to close the garage door. Even in our last house, like when we had kids with bikes and everything, like we've been very lucky. We've lived in relatively safe neighborhoods. We've never had anything stolen, so that's good. But now we live up in the mountains and there's literally bears in our neighborhood. And if you don't lock your trash cans, like close them in like a sturdy building like your garage, then the bears will come and like demolish your trash can. So now we have like a real, do you see where I'm going with this? Now we have like a real motivation to make sure double, triple, quadruple check that our garage doors are closed every night because we don't want any bears getting into our garage, right? So that just shows you right there. It's the same thing, right? Like it's just as easy to check and make sure that the garage is closed. But before we didn't have like a real reason to. And now we have like a real need to close the garage door. So we make sure it's done. So it's like the same thing with what's going on with your diet, right? Like maybe you've even like noticed that dairy or gluten or whatever doesn't really fully agree with you, but you've never had like a real reason to cut it out. I know I've been there. And then here comes your baby and your baby's uncomfortable and your baby has a hard time with these foods. And it's like, all right, I got it. I'm cutting it out. Like this is my motivation, right? But I want to dig into that a little bit more because even though that is like obviously a great motivation to change your diet, right? Like you don't want to see your baby in pain. It's still hard, right? Raise your hand if you still feel tempted from time to time or maybe every day, right? Let me know like if you're still tempted to eat whatever it is that like you've tried to eliminate from your diet. So even though you have this motivation, you don't want to hurt your baby, you don't want to see your baby in pain, it still can be really tempting to eat those things that you're used to eating, like especially ice cream, right? Even though there is some great dairy-free ice cream out there. So what do you do when you're like super tempted or you're just like not motivated anymore or whatever? And we'll go into like some scenarios like this later. So if you want to share like a scenario where you've been really tempted, or maybe you did decide to eat something you know you shouldn't have, or you like really close to, or like what are those scenarios that are really hard for you? Share those in the comments and we can like work through some of those things. So anyway, so even though, we all have our motivation, right? Like we all want baby to feel better. I'm sorry, I just like gave a smile because I just realized I really like this like little setup I have here. I feel like I'm in my office. If you've been with me for a while, I'm all over the house trying to find a good live stream spot. And this is actually my baby's room. And I love this chair, and she's not napping, so I thought I'd steal this. And I feel like I'm in my like office with my cool little office chair. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. So you've got your super good motivation, right? But it still can be really hard. So please let me know what parts about it are really hard for you, and like what are like your really tempting things. Is it like if someone brings in fresh baked cookies at work, or is it traveling, or what? And maybe we can work through it. But so what I want you to do is really dig into what I would like to call your deeper why. And we go into this. I have like a super simple dairy-free survival course. It's just $5. That's like, it just walks you through the basics if you're really new at going dairy-free. And in the very beginning of the course, we go over finding your deeper why. Okay. So why are you dairy-free? Like you want your baby to feel better, you want their symptoms to go away, you want their skin to clear up, their poops to clear up, whatever it is, right? Simple as that. I want my baby to feel better. I'm fine. Well, let's take it a bit further to find your deeper why. Why do you want your baby to feel better? Will it help you guys sleep better at night? Will it make you feel less stressed? Like what is it about your baby's symptoms that is really bothering you? And I know this seems like so easy and obvious. It's like, I just don't want my baby in pain. But your baby in pain, how does that affect you in your life and your family's life? Like what about that makes things really hard for you? Okay. Is it sleep? Is it dealing with a spouse or other family members? Is it your baby's always itching and bleeding and it's hard for you to see it? Like what, like go deeper. What is it? And share in the comments if you want. Like what is it really that like really, really motivates you to want to make your baby feel better? Let me know if that's making sense. Okay. So that's how you kind of find like your deeper why. So ask yourself why, like more than once. Why do I want to go dairy free? Well, because my baby's uncomfortable. Well, why do I want to go dairy free? Well, because when my baby's uncomfortable, she doesn't sleep well at night. Well, then what does that do for you? Well, when my baby doesn't sleep at night, obviously I don't sleep at night, and then I'm snapping at my husband and snapping at my kids, and I'm exhausted and I don't feel good. Like go down deep. It's not like super soul searching, right? Just like go down a few levels and figure out what your why is. Cool. Is that making sense? Okay. So another thing that I hear quite often is, if only I knew for sure that it was helping, then it would be so much easier. And yeah, that makes total sense. And I know there's so many of you moms out there who have been experimenting with eliminating dairy or like eliminating whatever from your diet, and you still feel like you can't get to the bottom of your baby's symptoms. By the way, like if that's where you are, please reach out to me and I can help you. But anyway, I totally understand it's that much harder when like you don't even know if your diet is helping, right? So you feel like you're starving yourself, which I don't want you to be. So again, reach out to me if you feel this way. But you feel like you just don't know what to eat, and like maybe your baby seems like they're sensitive to everything, or you just can't make a difference or whatever. And then it's obviously much, much harder to stick with your diet when you don't even know if the diet's helping, right? So I totally understand where you're coming from in that case. So if you feel like that, please reach out to me if you want some like extra support or help, or like somebody to kind of work with you through it to like pinpoint what's going on and help you feel better. But in that case, it's even more important to get in touch with your why. So if you can't figure out if dairy is making a difference, and it's like really hard for you to stick with the diet, then I want you to like really go down like those 2 or 3 or 4 or more layers. Like, why are you doing this? Okay. And if you can't find a reason, then let's talk, right? If you're like, I really just don't want to be doing this. Like, I don't know if it's making a difference. I feel horrible. It's not fun. Then let's talk. Like maybe you don't need to be doing it, right? Maybe we can try some other things first before we experiment with diet. Okay. We don't need to blame food for everything. Like we can try to make things easy. Okay. But I do want you to go through that like why exercise and go dig down deep, like a few levels. Okay. Sound good? I wish I brought my water. I need some water. Take a deep breath. I get pumped about this kind of stuff and I start talking about fast. So we talked about staying motivated. So your baby obviously is a really great motivation to make certain changes in your life, right? Like even not just going dairy free, but other things too. But like what really is like the deeper level of that. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is temptation. So even when you're like super clear on your why, you're feeling great on your diet, like everything's awesome, you're still going to have those times where you're like kind of tempted to eat something that you know you shouldn't be eating, right? And like I said before, if you want to share like any of those scenarios that are really hard for you, share them in the comments. I'll give a few examples. Well, I'll just give one so I don't talk too much. Um, I'll give a few examples for me. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything I want to. So when my son, my second born, was little, I've been dairy free for all my babies at some point or another. But when my son was little and I was dairy free, I was still working in like a corporate job. And so it was always really hard when people would bring in food, whether it was like homemade cookies or Halloween candy, or, you know, like when people would bring in food, it's like not even stuff I would normally eat. But when people would bring stuff in, it's just like, it's kind of like exciting. I don't know how many people watching here work in an office, but like it's always fun when there's like extra food, like people bring in donuts or whatever. Like it's like, yay, you know? So you just want to like be a part of it and like have a donut with someone, right? So that for me was always really, really hard. And I'm going to talk about like how I dealt with it for both of my my two older kids. So I'll do, and then I'll kind of explain why, like how this can be helpful. So with my son, with Bradley, I like had a really hard time, and I would give in to temptation quite a bit with this kind of stuff, like with the bringing stuff into the office. And I would always kind of like justify it to myself as it like being a test, like, oh, well, let's see if, you know, I'll eat this piece of milk chocolate and, you know, maybe he's outgrown it by now. This will just be a test, right? But I was doing that like a little bit too often. And like, to be totally honest with you, he was my second baby with allergies. And I was like, already, I started this business like right around when he was born. So I was already doing that, like helping moms with this as my job. And I was having a hard time with it. So yeah, it's okay if that's where you feel. All right. So the first thing is just noticing like where your temptations are. Maybe notice like if you give in to them, like maybe kind of think about why. And if you don't give in to them, then give yourself a major pat on the back. With my daughter, my first, I it was like no question in my mind for, and I'll explain like what I think the difference is here. I had like no problem at all saying no to birthday cake with ice cream or treats, or like it's always like the treats, right? That are hard, or pizza or whatever it is. I had like no problem saying no to that. With my son, like I said, I would like justify it as a test, or I'd like eat pizza but like take the cheese off and think it'd be okay, and then it would never be okay, right? And I think what the difference is I want you to kind of check in with how are you feeling, okay? And I think that's what made it harder for me to give in to temptation or not. And this is what I see a lot of times with moms that I work with. We forget about how important like we are doing, right? We are so wrapped up in wanting our babies to feel better, and like doing anything it takes for them to feel better. Give me some thumbs up if like you can relate to this, that we forget about us, right? And checking in with how we're feeling. So with my daughter, I like right around when she was born, or I don't know, at some point, I don't really remember. I just learned all this stuff about how bad sugar is. So I like really cut sugar out of my diet. A few months later, I found out I had to cut dairy from my diet. And I was feeling amazing because I made these really, really great changes to my diet. Like I was feeling great. I was having like great energy. My skin was all cleared up. Like my skin was like glowing and beautiful, and I had lost weight, but like in a good way. Like I felt like I looked really good, was in good shape, was feeling great. So it was like, yeah, no question in my mind. Like, this is awesome. Like, I don't want to eat any of this stuff. And then with my son, he got really, really sick when he was a tiny little baby, well, like a few months old, and spent a week in the hospital in the pediatric ICU. And that was like, I'm still getting over the trauma from that. It was on my 30th birthday. And so every time my birthday rolls around, I like feel it. I'm like already like I can feel it. Okay. So I got really sick from that. And then on top of that, I had mold illness at the time that I didn't know about. So anyway, I was like physically and mentally and emotionally not doing well when my son was a baby. So I had a lot harder time sticking with a diet that, even though it made me feel good, I wasn't feeling good. So it was almost like I didn't have like that full motivation because I wasn't like really feeling good as myself. Does that make sense? So that is a big key. So do not forget about yourself. Make sure that you are, and it sounds so selfish, but it is not. Make sure that you are your first priority. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, it makes a huge difference in who you are as a person and as a mom and a coworker and a wife and daughter and like everything, right? So paying attention to who you are, or how you feel, that ripples out and has an effect on everything. Okay. Now, Chi, I don't know if I shouldn't laugh. I don't know if that's your real name or a Facebook name or if I'm saying it right or what. But you're saying your husband sent you a picture of cheesecake he had at work and asked if I could eat it. I told him no. And yeah, that's so, oh my gosh. It's like, I don't know. I'm sure he did it out of love, right? And he like if you could eat it, he would bring it home to you and it'd be so sweet and everything. But it's so hard. Like what are those things that really are tempting for you, whether it's cheesecake or pizza or ice cream or milk chocolate, or just like a big glass of milk or whatever it is. It's hard. You're right. Sigh. You'll get over it. So hopefully some of the things that we've talked about in like so far have been really helpful. So finding your deeper why, like touching base with yourself and tuning in with how you're feeling and kind of like working that out first, or like as you're doing this stuff is really helpful. I feel like I had something else too. Oh, and then like reaching out for me for support if you need help figuring out your diet. So, but thank you for sharing, Chi, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. Okay, so this is kind of a long one, but I have a lot to say about this. So that's sort of like the like mental emotional aspect of this kind of stuff, I guess. But let's talk about, I just want to make sure I don't want to miss anything that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about some practical stuff. Okay, good. Chi. Cool. I didn't know if it was like Che, like my name is Michelle, right? And so people would like two of my good friends in high school would call me Che because CHE is in Michelle. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so let's talk about some practical things with slip ups. And I did get a couple questions and they were all about slip ups, which I had a feeling because everyone's always asking about what to do if you accidentally ate dairy or you ate dairy on purpose and now you feel really bad. So I want to talk about that and I'll get to the questions. But I just want to say whether you accidentally ate dairy or like someone bad about saying no, so you ate it anyway, or you were just like, I think one person in the questions was just like, I had like a little piece of chocolate that my daughter gave me, and I was like, it should be okay, right? And then felt really bad about it. Like whatever the scenario is, you are going to be okay, and your baby is going to be okay. So, like she said, sigh, just take a deep breath. You will be okay. You are not doing damage to your baby. Everything will be fine. You might like see some symptoms for a few days or maybe a week, or like it will not be bad. So we'll go over that in a little bit, but I just want you to know you can take a deep breath. You are not a bad mom. You're doing everything you can. It's okay if you mess up, whether it's on purpose or by accident or whatever it is. I mean, again, with my son, I remember I ate a bag of Pirates booty. We were on a long road trip and I packed it for my daughter, I guess. And I was just so hungry because I was breastfeeding, right? And I ate the Pirates booty, not even thinking, like at all, even though he's my second dairy-free baby. And then like that week, he had like horrible, like mucousy, bloody poops. His skin was all broken out again. I was like, what is going on? What happened? And it seriously wasn't until like weeks later, I was like, oh my God, I ate that cheesy Pirates booty. Like what was I thinking, right? It happens to all of us. So not only did I slip up accidentally with my son, like stupidly like that, but I also like did it on purpose too. So like we all, and this was like when this was my job. Okay. So we are all in it together and we've all done it before. It is okay. All right. All right. So just like some practical stuff, because people are always asking like, do I need to like reset my like dairy-free clock or whatever? So if you've been dairy-free for enough time that your baby's symptoms have completely cleared up and like you guys are all doing good, you're just dairy-free, everyone's happy, there's no bad poops, no bad skin, no like discomfort or whatever, everyone's good, and you slip up for whatever reason and have some dairy or something that like you quote unquote shouldn't have, like I said, it'll be fine. You'll probably see some symptoms, right? Unless baby's grown out of it, which maybe that could be a blessing. Then you'd be like, oh, well, that's cool. I didn't see any symptoms. But if you do see symptoms, they really shouldn't last any longer than a week. If they do, let me reach out to me and we'll talk about it. Maybe we just need to do like a little bit extra like gut healing stuff or anti-inflammatory foods. Like this is what I work with the moms that work with me. I help like give you tools for when these sort of things happen, because life is not just like all like rainbows and butterflies and easy, right? Like there are some hard things and things aren't going to be perfect all the time, which babies teach you. So I'll give you like those tools to kind of help when you see those sort of things. So anyway, um, bottom line, if symptoms are like gone and all cleared up and everything, and then you have dairy or something you shouldn't be having for whatever reason, you might see some symptoms. They shouldn't last for any longer than a week. If they do, then let's try to do like some extra healing to really help baby heal. If you don't see symptoms, then I see this question a lot. It's like, okay, so maybe should I start the dairy ladder? Sure. I mean, do what feels right for you. Like if you're super nervous about starting the dairy ladder and you don't really have a need to yet, then don't worry about it. But if you're like excited about trying and you accidentally had something but didn't see any issues, then yeah, try again, right? I mean, it's all about like what I'm never ever going to tell you what to do. I'll guide you from the experience and training that I have. And but it's all about like thinking about what feels right for you and your little one. Okay. All right. So then the next scenario is if you have a quote unquote slip up while you're still trying to resolve your baby symptoms or pinpoint what's going on, then does your like clock reset, right? So it's like you need to be like 2 or 4 or 6 weeks dairy free or whatever you want to be before like you start really seeing symptoms completely clear up. I would say yes. So if baby still has symptoms, you're still trying to figure out what it is, and then you eat dairy for whatever reason, you might see symptoms flare up. You might like maybe there's like still bad that like that you don't really notice or whatever. But yes, then I would say let's start over. Not that it really matters too much, guys. Like don't put so much weight on like the timeline of everything. Okay. Go back to your why. Why are you doing this? Seriously, you can be counting the days for like the first 2 weeks, and then usually after the first 2 weeks, you kind of like just get used to it. And it's just kind of part of your everyday life. So don't like, it's okay if you need to like reset your clock. You will survive and your baby will survive. But I would say if it's within like that first period of time when you're still kind of waiting to see symptoms clear up, then yeah, let's start over. So like when you can say, all right, I've been a month dairy free and I'm still seeing this or whatever. What should I do next? So that month would reset, like if you have dairy. I hope that's all making sense. Okay, so let me get into some questions. I might have already answered them, but I just want to specifically make sure I don't miss anything. And I think I mentioned earlier, so if you do have a slip up, you are not damaging your baby. You can go back. So usually if you have a slip up, I would say, do what you can to eat like those super nourishing, anti-inflammatory, healing foods, like depending whatever your baby's symptoms were. So you can like really help support them through this slip up. I have a really good video on like detox, so we can like talk about that a little bit, but you don't need to do anything super crazy. Okay. Alrighty, so I've been going for a long time, so thank you ladies for sticking with me, the ones who have been. So I had a question from Sarah. Actually, there's 2 different Sarahs. So this is Sarah Muller. By the way, my husband works for a company called Muller. She had a slip up. Okay, so she's the one that her daughter gave her a chocolate button and she just felt bad, so she just ate it. And then she's like, was I so wrong? Is it possible for one amount to do harm? Okay, so it looks like they had some symptoms. So hopefully, Sarah, I was able to kind of like ease your mind here. You're not damaging your baby. You are an amazing mom. You are so sweet to not want to say no to your daughter. It's going to be okay. So yes, there was a little flare up of symptoms. Let me know if they didn't. I don't know how recent this was. Oh, yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago. If those symptoms don't kind of like start calming back down within a week, then let me know and we can do like a little bit more extra stuff. But like I said, you're okay and your baby's going to be okay. All right. So the other Sarah Holmes, is frustrated because she feels like she's been doing so well and then out of nowhere, her baby's poops got bad again, mucousy and green. She's like, I don't know where I could have had a slip up. What do you do when that happens? So normally if I if a mom asks me like things are going well and then baby has a bad poop or an eczema, well, eczema flare up I guess would be different. But if baby has a bad poop, the first thing I do is like, all right, let's just wait and see if it was a one-time thing. Okay, if it's a one-time thing, then keep doing what you're doing. It doesn't really serve us to keep like going through the past and trying to figure out what caused it if it's just a one-time thing. But if it keeps coming or it becomes a pattern, that's when we want to start paying attention to, is it something you're eating or is it something else? Like that's when we want to like really start working on stuff. So that's the first thing I would say. Like, is it pretty consistent now? Pretty consistent bad and mucusy, or was it just a one-time thing? If it's pretty consistent, I would before, so okay, the first question I would have you ask yourself if all of a sudden like things get bad again, poops get bad again, or symptoms flare up again. The first thing I would ask yourself is, what do you feel like it is? I swear to God, like it seems so silly to just be like, well, if I knew what it was, then I would do it. But just take a minute to ask yourself, because 99.9% of the time when I ask moms, what do you think it is? They always have something that their gut is telling them, and it's almost always right. So it's definitely worth exploring. So first question is, what do you think it could be? Second question is, has anything changed in your diet or lifestyle or anything recently? Lifestyle, even like stress or whatever, like has there been any changes recently? So we can kind of pinpoint it through there. Or are you eating a lot more of like almond milk or a new kind of yogurt or whatever, like what things have changed? And then, maybe we can start, it depends where you want to go on this. Like if you feel good and you really feel like it's something in your diet that is causing this, then we can try eliminating it, see how it works. Or if you're just like, I do not want to fool around with my diet anymore, like I've already eliminated enough things, then we'll talk about like optimizing your diet and reducing inflammation and doing other things we can do rather than just cutting out foods to make things better. So Sarah, hopefully that is helpful for you. Okay, Akanksha. I'm totally not saying your name right, sorry. She was wondering, I want to say Akanksha. Akanksha, is that right? Prakash, I know how to say that name. She was saying she had a slip up this weekend. Does your dairy-free counter reset? Okay, yeah, so I answered that. All right, so we're good. So Chi, thanks for watching and thanks for commenting. If anybody like is watching the replay, please share in the comments if you have any other questions or anything else you want me to talk about, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching and sticking with me through this whole time. And I'll see you ladies back here. Oh, next week is the Baby Skin Solution mini course, which I haven't done in quite some time. So let me know in the comments or wherever, like let me know if your baby is dealing with eczema or any sort of skin issues, because I want to get you set up so you make sure you watch. It's a totally free mini course in this group. You don't have to sign up for it. I'll just be live in this group. And we're going to be talking about eczema and healing eczema and all the amazing, awesome things you can do other than just eliminating a ton of foods from your diet to help your baby heal from eczema. If you do sign up, you get a free copy of, well, obviously, you get a copy of a workbook to follow along, which is always helpful because then like that I'm all about like not just doling out information and giving people things like to do, because I don't want to be adding more on your to-do list. I just want to help, and I want you to feel better, and I want your baby to feel better. So all of this that I give you, the free mini course and the workbook and everything I do, is to help you like actually make a change and feel better in your life. So anyway, all that being said, you don't have to sign up. You can just show up each day of the mini course. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All the details should be in the group. You should be able to find it easily. If you do want to sign up, you get your workbook, and that just tells me that or that tells you, right, that you're taking this seriously. And I can promise you, if you implement some of the stuff from the mini course, you will start noticing a difference and you will start feeling better. So she was saying she can't wait for the mini course. She'll be at work Monday during that time. Replays will be up in the group. I'll make sure that they're easy to find. I'll leave the replays up, I think it's Friday, October 30th. So you'll have like 2 full weeks to watch it. So you will be all set, Chi. So good. I'm excited. Hopefully I'll see you there. Let me know, Chi, if you need the link to sign up if you want a copy of your workbook. I have it in the group, but I can always just send it over to you so you have it. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for watching. I will see you ladies back here Monday morning, afternoonish, depending where you live, with the Baby Skin Solution mini course. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.